Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. We are now live here at Pocket Mentor. It is the end of another work week and the second day of a new month. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, ano na po tayo? Second half of the year na po. So we are in July and the second day of July, and I hope you are all having a great Friday. I know I am having a great day right now because once again, I get to share a learning experience with all of you through our two mentors here today. So, today, thank you for tuning in and supporting Pocket Mentor. I know some of you have always been with us. And for those of you who have just tuned in for the first time, thank you. Thank you very much for being here and sharing your afternoon with us. So we couldn't be happier in organizing a live session today together with our mentors. So just to give you a brief description for those of you who don't know us or who have not been with us for a very long time and are here for the first time, just to give you a little bit of an intro of what Pocket Mentor is about. And we just want to tell you that we, as Pocket Mentor, really is all about empowering people through continuous learning. We are committed to leading people live purposeful lives by making learning more accessible, available, and engaging. So it's a great tool for companies and organizations to sustainably develop your employees and engage your stakeholders, especially during this time of the pandemic and what I term as the now normal. So, yes, work from home will always be with us from now on because we can do it. It's possible. And Pocket Mentor is your key, to stay in touch with the learnings and for us to be able to grow and enhance our own skills and knowledge. So with Pocket Mentor, you can still connect and cultivate your own relationships and your own skills. So how do we do this in Pocket Mentor? We do this via an online platform, which features video courses created by experts and practitioners who are likewise on a mission to share their wisdom and knowledge, to inspire others, to make a difference in lives. Exactly like our two mentors here today, who will be sharing their nuggets of wisdom. So, on that note, without further ado, let me introduce our lovely, powerful speakers for today. So, our first mentor, she is the co-founder and president of Human Nature, which is a pro-Philippines, pro-poor, pro-environment company. Through Human Nature, she has always endeavored to not only provide dignified employment to the working poor, especially women, but also personal and financial stewardship counseling through their HR teams. She is one of the two Filipinas listed on Asia Society New York's 2016 Young Leaders Initiative. So please, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are here listening, please all welcome Anna Meloto-Wilk.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Robbie. Hello, Grace. Hello to everyone who's tuned in this afternoon. It's a rainy afternoon here in Laguna, but hopefully we'll be able to share warm stories today.
Okay, so also our second speaker who will be speaking later on uh, has over 20 years of experience in corporate HR, having worked with numerous global organizations in various industries. Several years ago, she returned to her entrepreneurial roots as the founder and chief empowerment officer of V plus A Consulting, a group that specializes in strategic business solutions and creative learning interventions. She is a certified leadership and team coach from Marshall Goldsmith Coaching, a certified executive coach from the Global Coach Group, an ACE certified coach from WBECS and Seven Paths, and a certified Lego Serious Play facilitator. Yes, you heard that right. Lego serious play facilitator. But of the many roles she takes on, she is proudest being known as mom to her two beautiful sons, John and Thomas. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we go back to Anna for today, I give you our second mentor for today, Grace De Castro.
Thank you, Robbie. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi to Anna. Hi to everyone who's tuning in. Always a pleasure to be with Pocket Mentor. This is officially my first time talking. I used to do Kuya Robbie's role the first time I did this. So really looking forward to sharing spaces with everybody today.
All right. Thank you so much. And as you can see, we have a powerhouse tandem here for today. All right. And really, the topic that we have for everyone is so apt. And since last year, I'm pretty sure we've all felt the loss. We've all felt lost and anxious, because we've been on lockdown since March of last year, all the way up to this year. It's already July, and things have not really changed too much, right? Although vaccines have been rolling out, we're still far from herd immunity. So I guess everybody's still feeling that anxiety of what's going to happen next. Or even so, before we can start, with our sharings and all that, I guess maybe let's just have a warm-up question for everyone, and for our two mentors here right now, and of course with Anna and Grace. So let's have a warm-up. Let me ask you this. So how would you describe your own experience in navigating your life and finding your purpose? So maybe we'll start with Anna.
Parang hindi naman yata warm up yung question mo. Full sprint na yung tanong mo.
Full sprint na yun, kasi yun ang topic natin today. So might as
sige,
well go
sige.
ahead.
Alright, so the short answer is how I would describe it is masalimuot, or it was very
Wow.
complicated. So it's never a straight shot. For me, yung purpose is really something that you evaluate and also you commit to. Sometimes if you're lucky on a yearly basis, but more often than not, it's really like quarterly, minsan weekly pa nga na kailangan, okay, pinili ko to, kailangan ko tong panindigan. Yung mga ganong classic. But yeah, it's never a straightforward thing that you decide when you're 18 and that's it for the rest of your life. Well, at least not for my experience.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. So that pinili mo, right? So it's really about our choices, on how to navigate the day to day. And I think that's one point that we can all agree on. That's really about how we choose to live our day. Do we choose to be anxious all the time, or do we choose to be afraid, or do we choose to doubt ourselves when actually we can do a lot more? Yes. Grace, hindi ka makakalusot.
I had the same answer as Anna. That's why I was laughing. So I was going, pero ako ni Anna. That's why I asked earlier, pwede bang Filipino? Sabi ko, masalimuot. But sige, I'll use a different term. Parang yun din, no, pag ginawa kong English. I think for me, it's always been eye-opening. Diba? It's the same as Anna. It's never a straight line. It was never a straight shot. In my case, I thought I was very clear when I was starting out, right? It was later on in life when you realized parang hindi pala yun, right? No regrets, right? We all learn from stuff. I think for me, it was, for those who watch Friends, kakatapos lang ng reunion, and I'll use the term they were using for the sofa scene, for the couch scene, learning how to pivot was super important. All the more now in the last 2 years, with everything that's going on. But life for me, for the last 40 plus, inamin ang age, for the last 40 plus years, or last plus 20 plus years since university, it's always been eye-opening. It's always been challenging.
I like that. I like that term, the pivot. No, to be able to pivot, and that's really, we've talked about before IQ and EQ, and now it's really about our adversity quotient, or I'd like to also see it as an adaptability quotient, our AQ, the way that we can quickly pivot to turn maybe adversity into opportunity, or to turn a negative into a positive, and to find ways around it so that we can change the way that we do things. And I know there's some other nuggets that you guys want to share right now. And so I'm going to go back to Anna because I know both of you have have prepared something for our viewers. And so because you have something for us, maybe you can share with us how we can thrive, in this situation, and what opportunities might be there. How do you balance family and work? So I'll go with Anna first. I'll go back to Anna, and maybe you can share with us some of those nuggets that you prepared for our viewers today.
All right. Thanks so much, Robbie. And yes, Grace, I think there's a lot that we have in common, di ba? Parang nag-ESP na kami. Parang pa kami ng word. But I guess I just want to start off before diving straight into, you can see the slide. It says 5 ways to thrive with work and family. Thrive is actually the kind of the intermediate step already kasi I just want to affirm everyone here who really had a difficult time in the past year na in the beginning when it was first announced that there was a pandemic and there were lockdowns. I mean, we all went through a period now we were just trying to survive. We were just trying to really kind of get our families to soldier on, not lose our confidence, not lose our hope. So I think thriving is already kind of the next step when we've gained our bearings already, which is to say na no, not everyone, I mean, don't expect yourself to really thrive immediately when change happens, and don't parang think na, oh, I should be better than this, or I should be stronger than this. And some of the kind of insights that I'll be sharing with you, it really took a while for me to really figure them out. And even then, I don't think it just happened in the past year. I think it's really been, a culmination of all of my experiences for, the past 40 plus years also that I've been around na I guess it was just grace also that in the past year that we were forced to really change our way of life, yung mga dati nating mga assumptions na question, and that always brings people into a point of reflection and evaluation. But that's my last step. I'm preempting my 5 points. So just 5 things that I wanted to share with you. So, and this is what I think have really helped me to be able to have fulfillment both in my family life and also in my work life, kasi now it's really merged together, lalo na with work from home. So first of all, when everything seems overwhelming, I think my first go-to is always to know what our values are. For many of us, siguro, we've been taught already that early on you have to clarify. I think the first time I thought about my values was when I was a teenager, when I was thinking about, what course to take in college. Kasi that's one of the first big decisions that we make, diba? Na parang in making big decisions in our life, we really need to know what our values are. And what are our values? Well, I mean, the most simple thing to explain it is what's important to you. Kasi what your values are will dictate where you spend your time, where you spend your energy. It's really what is the most important thing in your life. So it's very, very important because your values acts like a GPS or a ways for you, di ba? Na parang it shows you na parang, okay, this is what you want, this is what you want your life to look like. So knowing that very early on helps you to not get lost, because if you don't know what your values are, parang we're just getting tossed in the ocean na parang, oh sige, parang kaladkarin na lang tayo, oh gusto mo bang sumama dito sa barkada na to? Oh yes, oh gusto mo bang lumipat na ng ibang trabaho kasi ayaw mo na yung trabaho mo, edi move ka na naman. Na parang if we don't know what our values are, we will always be just tossing around because we don't have, that's why because we don't know what we want. That's why my symbol for it is an anchor. Really, values are an anchor for your life. And for me, I have just two main things. My first value is my relationship with God. And so important for me that I'm able to connect with Him on a daily basis and to grow in my relationship with Him. And that's through, prayer, reading scripture, and all of that. And because that's my first value, it's also the first thing that I do the moment I wake up. And I can't say that I've always been true to this value in my life. There have been times when I've forgotten that it's my value, and that has really been some of the most turbulent times of my life. But now putting it down and really knowing that it's my most important value always sets me in the right direction. My second value is purpose, because I always want to know that my life and my time is being used according to how I've been built, my interests, my experience, my heart, all of these things, even sometimes the way that I dress, the way that I look, all of that must serve a purpose. Hindi yung tipong walang, diba? And valuing my purpose also helps me to really define where I should devote most of my time. And there are two things, diba, for purpose. One is I'm a parent. I have 6 children. I am their primary caregiver. I am also their primary teacher or educator. So I have to make sure that my time, my day, my week reflects that, I am a parent and that my time, my value is there. Second is and my purpose is I'm a leader. So I steward people in my company. So I have to make sure that I am able to lead them in the right path and contribute to the growth of our company, because I know that, the livelihood of hundreds of people depend on, decisions that we make together with, our management team. So I take that very seriously. So those are my two values, my relationship with the Lord and my purpose, and have to make sure that those are the anchors of not just how I spend my time, how I schedule my weeks, but also the decisions that I make. So that's the first. The second one is letting go of perfection and embracing progress. I don't know if this is more an issue with women or it's also an issue with men. Perhaps during the Q&A, we can have a discussion on that. But I think a lot of women, whether they're full-time mothers or they're single working individuals or they're working mothers, they often expect that they do everything to perfection. But let me be the one to say, and I'm sure I'm not the first one, everybody says this also, but we still need to be reminded all the time, perfection is unattainable, and it will always just lead to frustration. So things can be perfect some of the time. Perhaps today your project, everything went well, no hitch whatsoever, but there will come a time that things that are beyond your control, there's so many things beyond their control, the weather, other people's reactions, the economy, all of that, it will not be perfect all the time. And I guess that was one of the biggest lessons of the pandemic. Those of us who want to control everything and who want things to be perfect all the time, it has been upended, because the things that we would take for granted that, are predictable and dependable, all of that has just been turned on its head. So we have to let go of perfection. Because apart from the fact that it's unattainable, the pursuit of it is also what will often lead to burnout or breakdown. We are imperfect beings, and everyone around us is imperfect also. So expecting that things will always work out the way we plan it, no matter how meticulous, no matter how thorough we are, is really just going to lead us to frustration, burnout, and in the worst cases, mental breakdown, diba? So instead of perfection, what we should really be aiming for, well, at least ako personally, is progress. Because that is something that we can control. We can control what we can do better when we make a mistake. We can control what changes we will make when we are presented with something that we didn't consider before. So now we can prepare and we can account for those things, diba? And so for me, with my parenting and with my work, it's always about progress. So just some examples. I'm teaching my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old to read. So with my 6-year-old, we started with just 10 minutes. 10 minutes every day because I couldn't get him to sit for more than that. And we just gradually increased that to a little bit more at a time until it was 30 minutes, diba? And then at work also, it's so important to celebrate small wins, diba? Na parang, oh, you got another, for example, you were able to negotiate, your packaging by 50 pesos. I mean, or like by 50 centavos. I mean, in the scheme of things, maybe it's small, but that still contributes to better better margins and all of those things. So these small wins there, they add up. I was reading a book by James Clear, and his book was about atomic habits. And he said, it's the aggregation of small things that will lead to, the big transformation. It's never like, an overnight change. So celebrate the small wins, because not only is it good for your self-esteem, it also really lifts the morale of your team when you recognize the small things that they are able to accomplish. And then third point on progress is give room for setbacks. Sabi nga namin kanina, diba, the word masalimuot, because we can plan for, things to go well and have a straight trajectory. But the reality is sometimes you take 3 steps forward and then you take 2 steps back. Akala natin we were already progressing with our project, and then suddenly, a shipment doesn't come in, and then your lead time is, extended by double and all of those things. And so we have to really give ourselves grace, and we also put in some buffer time for those things, so that we don't get frustrated. And even in our health, yung iba sa atin gusto natin, let's lose 10 pounds agad-agad. So you lose 5 pounds, and then parang isang buffet lang, biglang 6 pounds agad yung na-gain natin. And then people will give up in their fitness journey. But really, it's about getting back into the new habits that you've been trying to do, and not allow these setbacks to stop you, diba? It's about consistency rather than parang always knowing that you're going up the ladder progressively. Sometimes you have to step back, 3 steps back, 4 steps forwards. Okay lang yun, for as long as we don't give up. The third thing is boundaries. Ito mahirap to, especially in our Filipino culture when we can't say no. And also, as Robbie was saying, work from home is here to stay. Although it has allowed convenience for us that we don't have to commute anymore, nakaka-save tayo sa pamasahe, nakaka-save tayo sa oras, but it has also brought in a few bad things like extra stress, or the lines between work and personal life has blurred. Diba? Whereas before, you can clock out by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Now, your boss is still sending you Viber messages or expecting you to check emails until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and all of those things. And that has really added to the mental stress that people are going through. But I've experienced that as well, na parang I feel like because I'm not in the office, I really need to put in more time, put in more work. I have to check on people a lot more. But very early on, I realized it's not sustainable. I mean, it's not good for my family. It's also not good for my work. That I'm not at my best because I'm just stretching myself too much. So in order to regain our personal time, we need to set boundaries at work, and so that we will still be able to enjoy our personal time. So just a few tips. First of all, one of the things that I learned was we should be able to approximate the same hours as before. So if we work 9 to 4 dati, when we go to the office, we should also just approximate 9 to 4 working from home, that we can still have our breakfast, we can still exercise if we want to exercise, we still have our lunch break, hindi yung tipong kumakain tayo sa harap ng computer natin. And if we're supposed to be done, or if we're supposed to clock out at 5 o'clock, then make sure that we clock out at 5. So how do we do this? We need to talk to our bosses, to say that, this is my deliverables, and it's not just about being online all the time, but being able to really see that these are what's expected of me, and these are the results. For as long as we agree on deadlines, and that's fine, diba? And another group that we need to talk to, of course, is our family, because it's so often na now that we're in a Zoom meeting, tapos biglang may makikita tayo sa background na may bata, or may our husband or somebody else, diba? So we have to tell our family that, the time that we're out at work, these are paid hours. So we need to be able to really still give our professional presence, diba? And these are the times when we want to minimize disturbance. Of course, it's not perfect, and I think employers naman are giving allowance for the occasional pop-up, diba? And that's fine. And I really also enjoy having a glimpse of the personal lives of our people, because it humanizes people, and it reminds us that it's not all about what they produce at work, because they have things that they're tending to at home also. Another thing that I've done to keep my boundaries is to have meal times. Keep meal times. So at 12 o'clock, my 4-year-old daughter is going to open my door, and she is always welcome, because she knows that she is the one to say, "It's lunchtime, mommy, time to stop." Right? And then I have lunch with my kids, and then I clock in again, an hour after. So, and then finally, it's about making a hard stop at the end of the day. I know it's easier said than done, but I really try to finish everything and not be in front of my computer, not sitting on my chair by 5 o'clock, so that I can be with the kids. I can spend time with them, because I've locked them out for most of the day, diba? Kawawa naman sila. So, and sometimes it's harder because they know that mommy's at home. They just can't barge in, and sometimes that's harder, unlike if you're in the office. I mean, siguro mas tanggap nila because they can't really see you, but knowing that you're in the same space, that's harder for them. So all the more there's a motivation for me to really make a hard stop when it's time for them. Okay, number 4, priorities. So knowing what our big rocks and small rocks are. So I mean, nobody has to, say this, that this is not something new, that life is overwhelming, diba? Especially now with all of the changes, na parang, what are the safety protocols? Should I wait for the vaccine? Parang, am I qualified already? All of these things. What kind of hours should I be doing at work? So many things now that we have to think about. I mean, online schooling, we haven't even talked about online schooling, all of these overwhelming things. But although life is overwhelming, we have to accept that we are limited people. We have limited time, we have limited energy. Hindi tayo si Darna. And I've always pushed against the concept of yung super women or yung super mom. May nagbigay sa akin ng mug dati na super mom. Sabi ko, ay, hindi po para sa akin yan. Bigay niyo po sa kapitbahay namin kasi hindi po ako yan. Diba? So we can't do everything, so we must choose what we have to do. So out of all the things that we have to do, we need to align them with our values. Going back to number 1, if you know your values, it's easier to prioritize, diba? So for me, my big rocks are, I need to have my prayer time in the morning. I need to wake up before the kids wake up so I can do my run. Because if I don't, then I'm going to feel awful the whole day. And then I need to make sure that meetings start at a certain time, because then I have to end at a certain time. We have to prioritize. In the last year, I've had to prioritize homeschooling. It wasn't a priority before, but now I have to prioritize it. And then, of course, work priorities. What are the things that only I can do, or what are the things that I can delegate? What are the things that need to be done now versus things that can be done, later? So those are some of the questions in terms of prioritizing. And finally, a to-do list is not enough. It needs to be scheduled, diba? Because if it's not scheduled, it's not gonna be done. So some people have just a very long to-do list, and I'm guilty of that. I have a really, really messy to-do list, but I've realized that if it's not on my calendar, even if it's not a meeting, it's not gonna be done. And then finally, ayan, meron akong timer, kaya alam ko. Diba? Reflection is my fifth tip, diba? From the time that I was a teenager, I would regularly journal. And I've journaled when I was troubled, I journaled when I was happy, when I was stressed, or when I was stuck with a problem, ganyan. And it's always helped me to sort my thoughts out. It's always helped to calm me down. It's also helped me to parang also forgive myself a little bit more when I'm like beating myself up for mistakes and for failures that I've made. Looking at, a log of all the things that I've gone through. And I think it's because reflection allows us that perspective. 'Di ba sabi nila, parang hindsight is 2020, 'di ba? Yung the vision of hindsight is 2020. Although we can never really control what we're doing in the moment, or I mean, what the future will be, we can always look to the past for learnings and evaluate what we're doing. So apart from journaling, talking to people who are mature that I trust and I admire also helped me to regularly check on whether I was on track or if I needed to course correct. So for example, Grace is a coach. I think that's a great thing, being able to talk to mentors, talk to coaches, talk to people who are just even a little bit more experienced than you, can make a huge difference in how you can grow in your personal and in your professional journey. So I mean, that's all for me. Those are my 5 things. I know it's a mouthful, but we live in very, very challenging times, so it's normal to feel stressed. If you don't feel like you're thriving yet, that's okay. I mean, I still feel overwhelmed on a regular basis, but even though everything around us is like shifting sand, anchoring on our values and anchoring, well, for me personally, anchoring on my relationship with the Lord has really helped me to keep steady, always knowing that so many things are changing, but at least my values are going to be the same, and my God is always going to be the same, yesterday, today, and forever. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for your very inspiring words and your nuggets. I mean, I wrote stuff down, and maybe I'll just mamaya na lang siguro sa Q&A. But very, very powerful, very, very good. I mean, I learned a lot. And I think one main message that all of us can learn from this is that, yeah, thriving is also a journey. It's not a final destination for all of us. I mean, look where we are now as compared to last year, when things started off. I think that we're all much better now. We're able to manage a little bit better. And even if it's just that, we're already thriving. I mean, that's something that we can all be proud of. Okay, I love it. So let's move on to our next mentor, Grace. I know you're excited to share with us also some tips that you have for us, some 5 life lessons. Alam ko pinag-usapan natin to kahapon, but I really want to hear more about it, and go ahead and share it with our viewers.
Thanks, Robbie. I was going to say, whatever Anna said, times 2. So para tapos. So it's finished. No, but thank you. There's so much that Anna already shared. Most of it is also shared by me, I guess, and I think there's a lot of commonality there with what we've both gone through and what we both learned in our 40 plus years of life on Earth. The title really for this, when they asked me to do this, I was really thinking about it. So, mas Ana, anong sasabihin, diba? Anong sa dami ng nangyari, sa dami na nang ginawa natin, ano bang life lessons ang pwedeng i-share sa ibang tao? So, the title of this was supposed to be 5 life lessons I've learned to love. So, but minsan pahirapan, pero natutunan na ring mahalin through the years. So, let me start off first. So, can we start yan? So, letter G. Makikita nyo kung ano siya. Makikita nyo kung ano yung sinispell niya later. The first one for me has always been about gratitude. I think if there was anything that made me survive all this time. So medyo masalimuot nga ho ang sabi namin ni Anna, right? There's so much that we've gone through. I will not go through my maala-ala mo kaya meets Twilight Zone versions of my life, right? But gratitude, if there's one thing I've realized is that gratitude reciprocates. Really, gratitude grows, gratitude always comes back to you. So for me, I always start off, there is something that I do every morning. I try to do every morning. It's called savers. It's called life savers. Part of that, similar to Anna's, is we do a lot of journaling, right? What I like doing is when I end the day, for me, when I end the day and start the day, ending the day, I write down 3 things I'm most grateful for. I've also been known to send messages like that to people out of the blue, just thanking them, just being grateful for the people that I have in my life. I also start the day saying thank you. And it can be as simple as, thank you, nagising ako today. Right? Pasalamat na mabangoy yung 7-year-old. My little boy sleeps with me. So, mabangoy yung katabi ko. Diba? So, little joys like that, little things like that. I'm always so grateful that I have another day. And so I always start the day with gratitude. So I was mentioning gratitude reciprocates. There's still so much to be thankful for. Pero sa gitna ng pandemya, ang dali kasing makalimutan. Diba? Ang daling makalimutan. So sana pwede nating binabalik-balikan. There's also a gratitude prayer, right? You make your own prayers, and you don't have to be cerebral about it, I guess. Kahit na yung maliliit na bagay, I always tell folks when I recommend this, yung kailangan nyo hong ipasalamat, whoever you believe you're God to be, hindi naman kailangan malalim, diba? Or mabigat. Diba? It can be as simple as, yan, you may aircon kagabi, hindi tayo naabot ng smog ng Taal, mga ganon. Diba? Lahat ng bagay pwedeng ipasalamat. Diba? It's a matter of how you look at it. So that's the first one for me. It's gratitude. Gratitude reciprocates, and gratitude always comes back. Next, please, is letter R. Letter ang sinispell. R for me is respect. This was very important. Inisip ko talaga to. So I could respect of others and of yourself. Okay. Bakit? As women, and I'll obviously speak as a woman, no? We're so much harder on ourselves, right? Our expectations of ourselves, and to some extent, the expectations of society that society has placed on us, mabigat, malaki, malalim, maraming pinanghuhugutan siguro. Parang si Anna, di ba? There are things like nagtatrabaho ka, pero expected din you care for the house, you care for the kids, you do that, di ba? Pareho kami ni Anna, I'm not a big fan of the super mom, super woman tag, right? But I respect the efforts, and I respect the fact that that everyone has their own stories, that everyone is going through their own stuff. I always remind, even my kids, I have 2 boys, I remind folks, not everyone shares your background or your beliefs. Right? Kailangan nakikinig muna tayo bago tayo nagsasalita. One of my best friends, I think, who is listening, who's watching this, shout out to her. She'll know it's her when I say it. I learned this from her during the pandemic because there was a time I was so angry. I was picking fights. With, yung galit lang ako, di ba? Galit lang ako, feeling ko nakatago tayo, ano ba to? Parang walang end. I was picking fights, and when my best friend actually said, when you, it's about really respecting others. When you listen more, it's about listening to engage, listening to understand, not listening to change. Folks, that was huge for me. Diba? Kasi gusto natin, kailangan sunod sa atin, sunod tayo. Whether as a parent, as a partner, as a business owner, diba? As a boss, gusto natin ang sinusunod. But again, that goes both ways. The respect that you demand is the respect you should be giving others also. Next, please. Authenticity. For the army out there, so for anyone, including Kuya Robbie, for anyone who is a BTS fan, this one's for you. I chose that because it really spoke volumes to me. Authenticity is something that I've always valued and something that I've always aspired to. This one is the logo of one of the albums of BTS called Love Yourself. that really resonated with me, especially during this pandemic. Ang sabi ko sa sarili ko, be, and this is the advice I always give folks who ask me, be you. Everyone else is taken. Be you, be unapologetically and unabashedly you. Not the you who you think others want you to be, but really about you. This is a work in progress. Diba? Sabi nga ni Ana, hindi ito yung type na nung 18, nakuha natin, tapos hindi na nagbago. We all grow. We evolve. Our life stages change. Life happens to us, right? But staying true to who you are, like what Ana said, I will keep also referring to Ana, the values that you have, what you hold dear. In the last 2 years na pala, magto 2 years na tong pandemya na to, I actually asked myself, ano ba talaga yung gusto mo? Right? And it was a recalibration of what success really means to me as a business owner, as a human, as a mother, as a partner. What does success mean to me? And I had to come to terms and I had to be okay with the fact that my measures of success are not the usual. Right? It's not the big house, it's not the car, it's not the promotion, it's not the title, it's not that. My measures for success are what kind of men my children grow up to be. Right? What kind of partner I am. It is, and that is who I am. I don't make any apologies for that. It may be different for others. But, and this is what I also found, when you show up as your most authentic self, you give others the space and the freedom to do that as well. And I think that is one of, if not the best gifts you can give as a human to another person, is to allow them to show up as their truest selves. And that starts by being vulnerable and allowing your true self to also shine forth. So makinig ko ng BTS kung gusto. So, yan ang goal namin ni Robbie. Next, please. Okay. C. When we talked about this session, we were talking, they asked about life and business conversations. So I felt that there was a need to include something a little bit more businessy, if you want to call it that. The competence part here, I realized was really, again, in my context, it was about, engaging myself, but it was really about continuous learning, being a lifelong learner. I always tell folks, please, if you're going to do something, bigay nyo na lahat. Be good at what you choose to do. Diba? Wala na nagpipilit. Be good at what you're supposed to be doing. Be good at what you choose to do. And then in that context, you again inspire others to also show up, right? And to also learn. I think competence here for me is really the learning part, right? In this time of the pandemic, I did all these certifications. I did all this stuff. I also did a lot of talking to younger folks, right? Competence does not simply mean, you get all the certifications. For me, it was learning from those who are around you. Anna mentioned it, right? Coach, talk to people who are older than you. Now I'm also talking to people younger than me. My son is 17. My eldest son is 17. I learned so much from my eldest, right? The way he looks at life, the way he is just so accepting. Walang bahid ng drama yung anak ko, which is so not me. Wala eh, diba? And in the course of learning from others, that, when I talk about competence, that makes you better. Not just what it makes me better, not just at what I do, but it makes me better. It makes me a better person. It makes me a better me, right? So that's what I feel when that's what I mean when I talk about competence as a life lesson, right? Continuously learning, making sure na hindi lang tayo mayabang na, di ba? Meron kaming title ni Ana, co-founder, founder, CEO, gagandang title, di ba? But the truth is, the only way that works for us is if we continuously learn, right? And if we continuously look at how we can keep being better for ourselves and for others. My last one, please. For now, my last one for now is environment. Now, okay. the environment here, if you're going to look at the logo that I used, is actually a combination of things, right? So it's physical, mental, emotional. So it's not just the physical environment that surrounds you, it's really your internal environment as well. Be mindful of what surrounds you. I think that is yan sobrang laking learning. I'll share a little tidbit or a joke. It's not a joke, pseudo joke na umiikot. When this pandemic started, may plus side to the pandemic, which was now you did not need to see the people you did not like. There was an excuse, can't see you, pandemic, diba? Ganyan. And that is actually a blessing to some extent if you think about it, because you realize importante, diba, kung sino ang nakapaligid sa inyo. For me, environment, let me just take 2 points from environment. Let's talk about the physical part first. So it's really the space. We've all been at home most of the time, right? I kid you not when I say your physical space matters. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, but it doesn't have to be cute, masyado maganda, social yung silya mo o yung table, hindi. But surround yourself with something that brings you joy. If I could show you my desk right in front of me are pictures of my men talaga, of my boys and my partners in front of me. My favorite sister and her kids are tacked up on my wall. I have Tiny Tan BTS figurines hanging out on my table. It's joyful, right? That's the environment I operate in. So every time I sit at this table, masaya na agad ang aura ko. Because I am surrounded by my whys and I am surrounded by things that bring me joy. That's the physical stuff. Environment is also about your body, us. Anna mentioned it already. It's hindi naman ko kailangan lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds. Hindi ko kailangan yon. Diba? But it is taking this more important now, right? With all the variants coming out. Take care of ourselves. Right? This is where we live. This is our body. We have to take care of ourselves now more than ever. So that's the environment I talk about. Last but not the least for environment is your tribe. I think people will agree with me when I say your village, your tribe is super important. If of all the things that I share or talk about, this one is what matters most to me. I am grateful that I am surrounded. My environment is, I'm going to cry. My environment is probably what has saved me through this pandemic. I talk about a partner who is probably the most supportive I could find. And this is mabuhay ang LDR. So he's not here, right? But he finds ways to be absolutely supportive. I have my best friends who have been messaging me and saying, ganda mo best. Yang ganyang tribe, that ganyang community yung kailangan. Your loved ones, my sons who think I am the best thing to walk on 2 legs, my support system. At the end of the day, life is worthwhile because of the people you share it with. And so my tribe and the people I share my environment with, my energies with, that is what is most important to me. Okay, and to end it all, if you will take a look at the 5 life lessons, it actually spells out my name. Pinag-usapan namin ni Robbie to, Grace. And the reason I came up with the Grace was I had a love-hate relationship with my name for the longest time. Growing up, I felt very awkward with the Grace. If you knew my first name, my real first name, let's not go there, it would be even worse. So yung Grace was parang weird, ang awkward nito. Until I found out what that actually meant. Right? In the shortest terms, grace is an unwarranted blessing. Biyayang binigay sa'yo na hindi mo hiningi. Right? And for me, these 5 life lessons are God's grace. The universe is grace to me. My wish is that what I've taken and what the universe and the good Lord has given me, I've at least managed to share with those of you who are watching us today. So, maraming pong salamat. I'll turn you over to Robbie again.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much, Grace. Guys, if you were listening, it's really great how both our mentors kind of nag-dovetail yung mga shinare nila, no? And then later we'll go through some of that as you're asking your questions, how many of what they said really comes together, you know. And I like the creativity of Grace using her name, right? And if you look at it, when you go back to what Anna shared a while ago about, you know, knowing your values, having that anchor, it's really having that knowing that environment that you have, right? And then developing yourself and knowing yourself, having that authenticity, as Grace mentioned, authenticity and your values as they come together really allows, and I like that when you said that, Grace, that it allows other people also to be themselves around you. It opens up so many things. And I think that's something that we should all magpakatotoo tayo right now. What am I feeling right now? How am I dealing with everything that's happening right now? Another point that I really like was the pursuit of the not the pursuit of perfection, but really the journey towards perfect. Maybe not really perfection, because I know that there's this adage, practice makes perfect, right? But actually, it's really practice makes permanent, right? It makes permanent. So when we are trying to develop our competencies, as Grace mentioned a while ago, and we look at that progress that we're making, then really we grow in ourselves, we grow in our relationships with others, we grow in our competencies, we learn new things. I mean, I found out that I enjoy baking, at hindi ako gumagamit baking bread, sorry. So hindi ako gumagamit ng mixer kasi I like the process of kneading, right? So yung mga ganon, so things like that. And really having that respect, as Grace also said, respecting yourself. And that's also boundaries, right? Boundaries, priorities, all of that is really respect. So if you caught that, there's so much wealth in what both our mentors shared today, that we can use in our day-to-day lives. And sana nakuha natin yun, no? Okay, I'm so excited, as you can see. And I really want to go to questions, because I know that a lot of you have these questions, these burning questions, and we learn from asking them. So don't hesitate. For those of you who are on Facebook Live, on Pocket Mentor Facebook, you can just put it there on the comment section. They will feed the questions to us here. For those of you who are on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, then or on IGTV, right? Tama ba ako? IGTV or IG Live, you can watch us there, Pocket Mentor, and ask your questions. Just comment and ask your questions, and we will do our best within that time that we have specified to get through your questions. And so we have one right now, okay? We have one right now. And let me ask this question to both Anna and Grace. I noticed happy and successful people suggest to journal. Wow, yes, that's true. Do you always take time to read the journal regularly? Do you write a journal or type it? And does it make a difference if you write it or if you type it? Alam mo, parang ako tong nagtanong na to, because yes, I also want to know. Hindi ako nagtanong ha, pero parang ako to eh. I feel this person. Okay, yes. Who would like to go first? Hindi ko pwede sabihin ladies first eh.
Sige. Ako na lang, since I brought it up, preference nyo yan if, you know, you like to, you know, the sensation of putting pen to paper, or would you rather put it on electronic kasi mas madali siyang ma-organize. Ako kasi personally, my preference is pen and paper. Because going to also part of your question, do I read my journals or do I just write it down? I would say 90% just write and 10% lang ako nagre-review, because the process of unloading my thoughts and kind of putting it down on paper, parang nakakahinga na ako. Just the process of like writing unloads my mind, And it's my physical thinking. Kasi thinking is so abstract, diba? Nobody can see that you're thinking. But when I'm writing things down, that's my kind of physical manifestation of thinking through something. So I guess for me, that's always been what has helped me.
All right. Yes. Grace?
Yeah, for me, it's same with Anna. It really is a personal preference. I will answer the opposite though. I do like writing. I used to teach. So old school, my notebook, etc. But what I've also found has worked for me, there are all these free apps on your phone. There's a gratitude journal, there's a gratitude app. The reason I liked using that was one, mas madaling dalhin, syempre, right? Versus a notebook. Two, what was surprising with that is you can attach pictures, which I like. So there is, at least for me, that worked for me. So I have actually, funny, no, I have a mix of written and I actually have stuff online. I do read a little bit more backward, but pag ko ano na yung nasulat, simply because I also really like seeing the journey that I've gone through. Parang, ay, sinulat ko yun, kahiya. May mga ganyan. Ano ba yan? Bakit may ganyan? And then it also, again, it is absolutely agree with Anna, it is the process of unloading that and of writing your journal. Yeah.
I think another mga like stumbling blocks, no, the things that stop us from writing a journal is that we always think that it has to be technically correct. Like yung grammar dapat maayos or di ba? But apparently, di ba, it doesn't have to be that way because it's your personal journal. You can write anything you want on it. Yeah. And kasi ako dati that's what would stop me. Is it something that masyado akong technical eh. I'm a little bit of a grammar Nazi. So, yan. So,
wala namang magbabasang iba, di ba? May sharing ba to? May sharing.
Ang ganda ng mix of pictures and, with the apps nowadays. And that's really helpful. I mean, it can end up as like your mini scrapbook as well.
Yeah.
That's really great. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to our next question. So, what would be your advice to those who feel stuck in their life or job or relationships? How to deal or move? How would you deal with it, and how do you move forward? Okay, that's medyo those are expectations lang, because when you say life, job, and relationships, they're kind of like two buckets, right? So yeah, so how would maybe distinguish when you're answering, maybe distinguish from both? How would that go? I'll let go first.
Sorry. Robbie, me? Did I hear you?
Go ahead, Grace.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Napaisip bigla. How do you get unstuck?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gamitin ko yung sinabi ni Ana kanina. It's okay. Sometimes, di ba? Hindi naman ho yan. Sometimes you're so keen on thriving. Minsan kailangan surviving muna. So, getting stuck is part of that process sometimes. Right? And gamitin ko ulit din yung Korean telenovela. It's okay to not be okay. Right? It's okay. Give yourself that space. I like saying this. Ang mga bagay na ganyan, okay lang hong daanan. Huwag nyo lang hong tatambayan. But just don't stay there for long. For me, what has worked for me, I guess when I got stuck, whether it was a bad relationship, feeling like you don't belong at work, for example, or feeling like there's something else you need to be doing with your life, don't quite know what it is, ramdam na ramdam mo lang na iba yung calling mo. What has worked for me was taking a step back and really surrounding myself with my tribe. Sorry. Yun talaga. I am a mix of my nearest and dearest. So that I will go and talk to my best friends. I will talk to my partner. I will figure that out. Because I tend to get in my head too much. Diba? So yung tendency ko is I just beat myself up. Does not do anything for you, right? You still stay stuck. So it doesn't do anything for you. So I will, surround myself with people who will tell me the truth. Mm-hmm. Right? Best friends who will tell you the truth. Partners who will tell you, but who love you anyway. right? And so that's what I do. I get unstuck by going to the people who know me best.
Right.
That's what works for me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Anna.
Mute. There. Okay. I was stuck on mute. So, yeah. So when I feel stuck, it also helps for me to have a change of scenery. So for me, physically, when I'm stuck at work, when I am, having a lot of negative thoughts, I like to go on a walk. I like to run. Lately, I've been running because yung trying to get away from the place, physically taking yourself out, parang it's symbolic na it allows your mind to have a fresh perspective. And also a lot of times when you're feeling stuck, it also might be a function of not getting enough rest, not getting enough sleep. So they say that sleep has a lot of regenerative benefits, not just physically, but even mentally and emotionally. So make use of your weekends, make use of your Sundays to really recharge. You don't have to always think about the problem, but give yourself that space to rest. And after that, maybe you'll get a fresh perspective. Whether it's it tells you that you have to really change something in your circumstances, or maybe it's not your circumstances that are gonna change, it's your attitude that's gonna change. Because sometimes you can change your circumstances. A lot of people think when they feel stuck, it needs to be immediately change of circumstances, new job, new boyfriend, new house, new country. But sometimes, and a lot of people don't have the luxury of changing their circumstances. So the next best thing is really a change in your attitude. So for me, physically, forcing myself to walk, to run, to sleep, to rest always helps to give me that perspective. And I echo what Grace was saying also, kasi I'm an ambivert. I'm kind of in the middle of introvert and extrovert. I have to talk to people. I have to, be surrounded by my best friends, my family, my teenage kids who make more sense than me most of the time. So yeah, there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And guys, I hope that answered the question. And one thing that I got from what you both shared was that you talk to people that you can trust about what you're feeling. And I feel that that's super important, because many times we're stuck because we try to deal with it ourselves. And as you mentioned, Grace, nga, you get stuck in your own head. Kung ano yung mga kwento mo sa sarili mo, that's what you believe, or that's what you hold on to for quite some time. So wag tumambay. So how do you do that? Go look for friends, go to your tribe, watch puppy videos or something. relieve that stress. And then just jump back in. If there's a solution to it, then yes, it is a problem. But if there's no solution, then it's probably not a problem. Probably just something that's in your head. Okay, we are down to some other questions. This question is specifically for you, Grace. So Grace, you mentioned that having a supportive and great environment is important. So what are the things that we should look out for? Also known as, or AKA red flags, for us to know that it's time to cut off ties with toxic people.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. A couple of years ago, right? About a year or two before the pandemic, I think I shared this with you, Robbie. I Marie Kondoed my life, not my closet, my life, which meant I stopped feeling guilty about spending or not spending time with people I thought I should be spending time with, because I realized my energy, it was really just giving respect to my energy, to my spaces. It was also giving respect to the people that I valued, right? That they don't, hindi tingi-tingi yung naiiwan sa kanila. Hindi tira-tira yung naiiwan sa kanila, diba? Very grateful that right before the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, I realized the people I was spending time with online were the same people I was spending time with before the pandemic hit. So yay, tama yung maricondoing the universe. I'll just give marami hong red flags. That really is dependent on you. But the one thing that I think for me was such a huge red flag, di ko na ma-ignore. Mabait tayo, di ba? We give chances to everyone, lalo na pag ang tagal na ng friendship, relationship. It makes it harder to break up, break off, not talk to people you think you should be talking to. Grade school barkada, high school barkada, office mate mo ng 2 buwan. Di ba? May mga guilt na ganyan eh. The biggest red flag for me is if when I'm with them, di ba, you spend time with them, whether on a call or whatever, yung ubos ka. Yung feeling, I've heard this been called parang energy vampires.
Right.
They suck the life out of you. I used to be the one who, sige, bibigyan ko ng dugo. Using that analogy, diba? Bibigyan ko ng dugo, sige, effortan mo. Nakakaubos ho yun. Right? And in any, and yes, there are some relationships that you choose to really spend your energies on, kahit na masalimuot, using the term, right? Whether for family, for example, parents, for example. But the rest, that's a choice. Eh? And for me, energy vampires, I just don't have the space for anymore, right? So pag hindi talaga siya Marie Kondo nga, friend, am I joyful when I am with you? No, hug the friend, say goodbye. That is isang tabi na po natin yan. Marami hong di ba parang cabinet lang. Marami hong ibang pwedeng gawin. Marami hong ibang taong marunong magbahal ng tama at marunong magpahalaga sa inyo. Doon ho natin ibuhos ang oras. Wag ho sa mga taong kuha lang ng kuha pero walang binibigay.
Okay, maraming salamat. I love that. Marie Kondo your life. Okay, hindi ko naisip yun. But yes, I remember you mentioned that to me some time ago, and that's something valuable. I have a friend who does more or less the same thing, but on Facebook. Parang regularly, she goes through her friends list and said, bakit ko to kilala? It's been a purge na lang niya. Ganon. So okay, yes. I have a question now for Anna. Anna, so Atomic Habits by James Clear. What is that one or two? So what is the 1 or 2 books that help you live life a little easier?
Oh wow. Dami ko nang nabasa. Ano ba yung tinitingnan ko ngayon? But yeah, recently the Atomic Habits by James Clear has been really helpful kasi one of the lessons that I got there is that when you want to make a change in your life, a lot of people say now you have to be goal-oriented. Mm-hmm. But he was saying that what is more effective is looking at your identity. Na goals is the most external kasi, and goals change all the time. But if you want to make a permanent change in your life, what has to change is your identity or how you look at yourself. For example, a goal could be, I want to lose 10 pounds, diba? But then, losing 10 pounds, it doesn't give you the specifics, and it doesn't parang, it doesn't change the fact that you think of yourself as still someone who doesn't exercise. But if you shift, for example, the way you look at things to say that I'm a runner, or versus I want to lose 10 pounds by running, then it's different, because whether you lose 2 pounds, 1 pound, or not at all, but if you're still running, then that still gives you the benefits of a healthy kind of lifestyle, versus saying that I want to lose 10 pounds by running. Now, if you don't lose the 10 pounds, then you feel you're a failure, diba? But if you tell yourself that I'm a runner, whether you just run 1 kilometer or 5 kilometers, that still makes you a runner. And it's really about showing up and being consistent. So yeah, yung goals versus identity, that's one thing that I really liked about the Atomic Habits by James Clear. Another book that has really changed my life was more on the spiritual side, was Philip Yancey's The Bible Jesus Read, which is what got me reading the Old Testament, because before I never read the Old Testament. It was too bloody, it was too like esoteric, it's just boring, and like all of the genealogies and all of the laws and all of that, I had no patience for it. But when I got the Cliff Notes version of it with Philip Yancey's book, it really gave me, the motivation to want to read the Old Testament, and gave me the perspective and all of the lessons. I've benefited so much from it since then. So yeah, those are my two books.
Okay, thank you, Anna. And wow, okay, now I'll remember that because I've seen that book, Atomic Habits, but I haven't read it yet. So I mental note to self and all of you viewers out there, Atomic Habits. Okay, so yeah, magandang libro. So let's at least it's something that will help us get through, something that will give us new learnings, something that will help us, in our day-to-day. Okay, this is our last question for today, and I'm sorry for those if this is not your question. I'm really sorry, but that's all that is all the time we will have for today. And the question is, this is our last question. When moving forward in life, how do you know what changes should be made, and how can you tell if something has been done well for you, or if something has done well for you? I'm sorry. So again, let me read that again. When moving forward in life, how do you know what changes should be made, and how can you tell if something has done well for you? The wheels are turning.
Pinagmumuni-munihan namin ni Ana. May pagmumuning nangyayari.
Muni-muni ang ating mga mentors. Salamat sa inyong mga tanong.
Okay. Good question, guys.
How do you know what changes should be made? Napaisip?
Yeah.
When you're moving forward in life,
I guess sa akin yung
How do you know if these changes are the ones that helped you?
Okay, sa akin though, you should always welcome yung mga, sabi nga ni Grace kanina, yung mga kaibigan mo na prangka. Yung mga kaibigan na hindi majajahe to tell you when you're out of line or when you're doing something that is destructive to yourself. So I really respect those friends who would mount an intervention or will take you out to coffee and say na, hey, palagi ka na lang late. Kunwari, diba? Please lang, pwede ka bang maglagay ng alarm para hindi ka nalilate at 5 minutes before nung meeting natin, nandyan ka na or whatever. So, that's one thing that you can't deny.
Right.
Because some people, even when they're being told already, and whether explicitly or tayo mga Pilipino, medyo mas tayo trying to be very subtle, diba? If you really want to change, you need to be open to these feedback.
Right.
Feedback, whether it's positive feedback or, negative feedback, as long as it's constructive, that always needs to be taken seriously. So that's one. Second is your emotions are like a thermometer for your well-being. I'm not saying that they have to be the basis for your decisions, but often they signal when something is wrong. So if you're feeling exhausted, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, then that might be a symptom that you need to kind of do that reflection, do the journaling, talk to friends, talk to your tribe, and enlist their help to help you figure out why you're having those emotions. I say this with a grain of salt because right now in our culture, emotions is king. Diba? Emotions are king. Na parang do what you feel. If you're not feeling good about this relationship, leave it immediately. Diba? Whereas for me, I treat emotions as just a factor, an important factor, but not the only deciding factor for changes in my life. So those are my two things.
Thank you, Anna. And I think emotions can be like a barometer, not necessarily
Yeah.
the final. Yeah. Okay, yes, Grace. Muni na.
Oh, and Anna times 2. Yun ang sagot. So, moving
The
forward.
same answer. I echo what you say.
Yeah, no, and I was really asking myself, like, looking back also at my life and what happened to me. Same, ang hirap. It's so hard to, I guess, put it in words. I think for me, there was, alam nyo naman alam nyo naman kung merong hindi tama. Yan, Tagalogin ko na, di ba? Your gut tells you, your heart tells you, right? Minsan pati yung mukha mo tells you, like you break out. Serious to, sometimes you break out, right? You can't sleep. And I was saying that there are physical manifestations sometimes. Sometimes just deep down, you feel heavy.
Yep.
I can't explain it. You know, right? And I think it's very rare na, namomblema ka na tapos ang gaang-gaang mo pa. Hindi eh. Right? There is a heaviness that people feel. And to some extent, may kailangan kang baguhin. May kailangan kang gawin. May kailangan kang baguhin. In my case, ako kasi yung type before, when I was younger, that kailangan ko itong baguhin, etc. Ganyan. Iiwasan mo kasi ayaw mo pa. Di ba? May ganyan eh. Ayaw mo pa eh. Gusto mo pang effortan. If it's a relationship, di pa, okay pa yan. Baka if I try harder, stay longer, do this, they'll choose me, chanes, di ba may ganon? This is where I will keep repeating that tribe comes in. Right? Ito yung tribe na nananampal para magising ka, pero ihahag ka pag nagising ka na. Yan yung importante. Diba? Hindi yung sinampal ka at iniwang ka lang. And that is, I think, what allows you to know what changes you need to make. How do you know that the changes you're making, that's what worked or is what's working? Again, for me, based on my experience personally, I feel lighter. Gumagaang ko ang loob ko. I know, deep down, kahit na masakit yung ginawa mo, kahit na may pagtatapos, may pag-iwan, ganyan, di ba, pag moving forward. May mga ganyan. Masakit eh. Alam ko na habang lumalayo ako dun sa hindi para sa akin o hindi tama para sa akin, gumagaang yung pinupuntahan ko. Gumagaan yung dala ko. That's what works for me.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. Yes. So thank you again. Salamat, Grace. Okay. And thank you, Anna, also for your answers. And I hope that helped everyone, and especially for the person who asked that question. Sana nasagot namin yung mga tanong mo. At maraming salamat din sa mga tanong na talagang binigyan ng palaisipan ng ating mga mentors. And just to maybe, if there's anything that we can summarize from today, for us to be able to thrive and really move forward, it's really our values. What are our anchors? And how do we prioritize everything that we do to move towards that anchor? And when we do that, we also need to remember to respect ourselves and respect others, their boundaries, their values, their anchors. And when we begin to start respecting other people, we begin to open up ourselves and become true to ourselves. And when we're that, then we can begin the learning. We can begin the learning of new things, to being grateful. Learn to be grateful that you're alive, that you can breathe, okay, that you have family, that we can connect this way, in Zoom or whatever platform that you're using, that we can talk to people actually right now. So make our connections meaningful. Let's be grateful for that and learn more. And feed our minds. When we feed our minds, we also feed our souls. So, and when that happens, then we begin to truly grow and move forward and get unstuck from things. And when we find ourselves stuck, find your tribe. Who are the people who are willing to shake you up and tell you the real deal and still love you for who you are. And well, so that's a wrap. And unfortunately, our time is up. We've actually gone over the hour, and however short this may be, we've picked up hopefully a lot of valuable things from our two mentors, and I really enjoyed listening to both of them to Anna and to Grace. Thank you so much for all the lessons, the tips, and the answers that you gave for our viewers, and sharing, of course, the sharing of your time and your thoughts with us. So thank you so much. And thank you as well to all of you, our viewers out there. Thank you for joining us on your Friday. I know that it's the last day of the week, so enjoy that weekend, okay? Even though we're at home most of the time, enjoy it. Still feel that it's the weekend. And so let's do that. And hopefully your Friday just got even better with everything that we've done today. So if you want to know more about Pocket Mentor, our subscription plans and packages, the mentors like Anna and Grace over here, and their content, or you want a tour of our platform, you can email us at hello@pocketmentorph.com. That's hello@pocketmentorph.com, or send us a message in our Facebook page or Instagram account. Or you can visit our website at www.pocketmentorph.com. Let me repeat that, www.pocketmentorph.com, and we will be in touch with you. So imagine, with just the price of your usual entertainment platforms like Netflix or Amazon Prime, Apple Plus, you get the chance to learn from top business leaders and industry mentors. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Happy weekend to everyone. Please remember to stay safe. The Pocket Mentor video trailer will play right after this live stream. So please stick around just a little while longer and watch that video. Thank you again. Happy weekend. Stay safe.
Do your employees need training, lessons on self-improvement? Then you have got to try Pocket Mentor. Pocket Mentor is an online learning platform for your employees' personal and professional development. And the mentors? Only the best minds in the business.
We learn how to create innovation objectives, how to ideate, how to incubate ideas, and then finally, how to implement your innovation.
I'm going to teach you more about the importance of appearance, why you should take good care of your health, and the importance of going eco-friendly.
I do hope that my sports stories help you in your work, in your relationships, and in your life.
Expect me to open my heart and my mind in this journey as an entrepreneur. There will be topics that talk about authenticity, vulnerability, and even love.
Listen to this guy, because this guy actually cares for what you feel, and this guy will help you solve your problem.
As one spark of an idea changes an entire life for the better. All these beautiful ideas can now be contained in a device that people can bring with them.
If you want a transformative learning experience, get Pocket Mentor today.